Good afternoon. Hey, I know we're coming at you at a slightly different time today thanks to all the games, but you're listening to the Ask Dr. Ernst show right here on Fox Sports Charlotte. Hey, it's a show where pounds are shed, disease is dead, and where you can be set free from your health problems. Today I have what I believe to be one of the greatest topics in regards to health, healing, self-healing, self-care, and it is the conversation over the number one most mistreated, misdiagnosed, misunderstood system in your body that actually, when you figure out what it is the healing system. So I'm not talking about your immune system. I'm talking about above that. I'm not even talking about the ability for you to regenerate. I'm talking above that. Your master healing system. And it's going to come as a shock to you because it's known as your nervous system. And it is the combination of your brain, spinal cord, brain stem, spinal nerves, and all the nerves that exit your body. And before you start instantly writing this off as, oh, this is the chiropractic talk. Listen, chiropractic is a technique of applying a care to the spinal system. So there are chiropractors. There are physical therapists. They work on muscles and joints and ligaments and to some degree even the spine as well. There are neurologists, medical doctors who specialize in the nerve tissue. Then you have orthopedists, medical doctors who specialize in the spinal bones. So all of it together would be methods of you working on your nervous system. But the approaches are completely different. You don't typically see an orthopedist until you need some sort of surgical work on this frame called your spinal bones. And we'll talk about the stages of decay. I have normal, degenerative, bulging, herniated, thinning, and what's known as arthritic. We'll talk about that. You have your muscles that connect to your spine, and that would be physical therapy, physiotherapy, ligaments, I've got sciatica because my piriformis and my psoas are too tight. Yes, a physical therapist, a physiotherapist can be helpful in stretching and relaxing and strengthening said muscles. Then you have chiropractors who work on the spine physically in regards to realignment and helping you to reconnect your brain's energy to not just your spine for it to feel better, but to your organs. And what's unique is people that get a lot of chiropractic care, well, they have improvements in their health and their sleep and their well-being, their immune system, their vitality, their strength, their energy. They usually don't get sick very often. They're usually not in pain. They usually don't get injured as long as if someone else receives an injury. And what's unique is the research shows people under long-standing chiropractic care, which I'll talk about, they're less depressed. They don't use as many drugs. They're less stressed. They're not as tense. So it's kind of like, man, we have all these benefits of working on your nerve system. And are you doing that? It'd be like, we know that brushing and flossing and rinsing and scraping and scaling your teeth are good for your teeth health. And there's research that shows you get really good responses in regards to your teeth health if you do that. So do you? Oh, well, Dr. Ernst, of course I brush and floss and rinse. Someone told me the importance of that. I believed them, so I do it every day. Good for you. Now, has someone told you about the benefits that you can receive daily by taking care of your nervous system? Notice I didn't say getting chiropractic care. Taking care of your nervous system, focusing on what does this thing do for you, and how those of you watching my live stream, the research shows your brain stem and spinal cord control all of the other systems. So you can't have a healthy ocular system. You can't have healthy respiratory systems, hormones, thyroid, lungs, stomach, liver, pancreas, adrenal, intestines, kidney, bladder, reproduction. You can't have health in those systems until you check the master system. So what is my topic for today? It's the most important system in you that heals you and protects you and repairs you and regenerates you. And have you checked it yet? You could call it the master system for healing. Do you know what it is? You could call it your spinal system and its connection to your health. Are you familiar with that? Last week, we had a topic where we said, hey, do you identify as someone who's healthy, even if you're not? So now we have to look at it as, well, then what is the true definition of health? And we teased it last week that the number one thing you need to be healthy is a proper functioning body. If you're at 100% normal, healthy function, you can heal because your master systems and all other subsystems work perfectly. So again, if your heart and lungs and stomach and immunity and liver, pancreas, adrenal, small intestine, large intestine, reproductive tissues, and kidney systems were working perfectly, you would be healthy. So the question arises is, well, what controls those? What is responsible for the function of those organs? Is it your diet? Is it your exercise? So wait a second, what controls them? Well, let's go to basic human anatomy. Your brain sends a message down your brainstem and spinal cord using nerve roots like wires to tell your body what to do. In order for me to move my hand in coordination like I have to send a signal down my brain, through my arm, down my elbow, and into my hands so it can go like that, as opposed to that. So again, just real basic. How did I move my thumb here and my pinky here, but not moving my thumb when my pinky moved and not moving my pinky when my thumb moved? Coordination, neurological signaling. Yeah, but Dr. Ernst, you're in control of that. I can't control my blood pressure. Well, true, it's part of the autonomic system. So you have voluntary nerve system can control that. Then you have automatic. And thank God for the automatic, because if you had to think about breathing and pumping your heart and digesting your food, you wouldn't be able to do anything. You'd have to sit in bed all day long. Okay, think, make hormones, control my blood pressure. Don't forget to make urine. Don't forget to go to the bathroom. Like, thank God that you have an autonomic nervous system. But guys, I'm here to tell you today, a lot of you have health issues that you've been struggling with for years because your master system isn't working. And listen to the stats on this. 80% of Americans have back pain at some time in their life. And pain in your back is an indication your nerve system is not working perfectly. Most of the time, the issues related to your spine are caused by microscopic repetitive traumas. Sitting on your phone at the desk typing like this with my ear to my shoulder, holding a phone in between and cowering forward and typing for hours on end, using smart devices looking down, getting into car accidents and, sleeping sideways, and all this stuff puts stress on the bones of your back. And did you know that dehydration makes your master system worse in its function? You need water around your brain to act as a barrier, a buffer, a cushion, and you have to actually flush your brain like a toilet. You got to get all that junk out. And if the toilet's backed up, yeah, you know what that looks like. If the fluids in your brain are backed up, it's almost the same thing. And we get brain fog and forgetfulness and confusion and disarray. And then we start to have health issues. So look, you get your teeth checked by a dentist, don't you? You get your eyes checked by an ophthalmologist. You get your blood checked by a rheumatologist or a medical doctor. The heart is checked by a cardiologist. Your breasts are checked by mammography and oncologist. Your lungs are checked by pulmonologist. Your liver is checked by a hepatologist. Your kidneys are checked by a urologist. You even have urine exams regularly when you go to your labs, and they'll even look at your poop. But how many of you have had your spine checked? I know this sounds weird, but Why would you check all these subsystems and ignore the master unless you never knew it was the master? And thus my show today. We're going to go deep, guys. I'm going to actually teach you how to read MRIs, how to look at x-rays, how to understand what's important with your spine. And we're going to go real deep into this slide here. And if you're listening in your car or on a plane, a train, or wherever you are, you need to go over to facebook.com/AskDrErnst, youtube.com/AskDrErnst, because this picture right here holds the secret as to why you might not be healing at 100%. And I know you might look at this and be like, Dr. Ernst, you're holding up a photo of the bones of a spine. Yeah, this right here is your master system. And if you have a healthy disc space, and you have a healthy disc, there's a lot of nerve power coming out of there. But if you have decay or degeneration, as we keep going down, bone spurs and arthritis, that's not old age. That's decay and degeneration of a joint space where the nerve can't come out like it can here. In a healthy state, it comes out in a squished, irritated disease state. And the arthritis of the spine equals a version of arthritis of the nerve. And then wherever that nerve goes, it has lost control. So knowing that today is a unique day in that we were postponed because of a game, I want to let you guys know that we're shifting gears. Last week we did our diabetes event. It was phenomenal. If you missed it, like, all I can say is send me an email, send me a text, send me a page, and let me know if you want to watch it. But on October, I believe it's the 8th. I should have pulled my calendar in advance. This is the joy of being live. Is it the 8th? It is the 8th. It's like 2 weeks from today. We're hosting a thyroid energy summit. And here's what I mean by that. If you struggle with energy, if you're tired all the time and you're foggy in your brain and you feel like you're 80 but you're only 40, hey, it could be your thyroid. Heck, it could be your nerve system. So I'm offering a free ebook on thyroid energy, which is where all of your energy comes from mostly, and the steps and techniques to return a healthy thyroid back to normal. Now, here's what this looks like. Losing weight without trying. Did I perk your ears with that? Getting tons of energy back. Did I perk your ears with that? Clearing your skin, thick and lustrous hair, like vitality and energy, okay? This is what almost everyone looks for, and the event itself is free. So if you want the ebook on how to repair a thyroid and have a ton amount of energy, pick up the phone and text 704-906-2094. It's 704-906-2094. You have exactly 2 weeks, which is plenty of time, but you need to start acting now. Like, I'm going to implore you to pick up that phone and dial that number and text it now, because the information we're giving away for free can change your life. Like, I've had patients and people listening to our radio show go, I've never even met you face to face, but I followed what you said to do in the ebook and I lost 25 pounds. I dropped a medication or two. So guys, when I say we give it for free, like, I'm not kidding. Everything you need to fix a thyroid and get your energy back is in that ebook. How do you get it? 704-906-2094. There's a caller. And there's a texter, 704-906-2094. When you text, just give us your name and your email. And when you call, we're going to ask for your name and your email. And guys, it's that easy. We'll give it away a couple more times during this week, all during the show and during the week and even next week. So plenty of time, but act now. 704-906-2094. So since it's Ask Dr. Ernst, let me ask you a question. Right? You've had your teeth checked, your eyes checked, your blood checked, your heart checked, your breast checked, your lungs checked, your colon checked, your liver checked, your kidneys checked, your stool checked. But how long has it been since you've had your master nerve system checked? The spine and the nerve system is the structural foundation of your health. It holds your brainstem and spinal cord, which is the only link that will transmit impulses to and from the brain for all functions of your body. And when I say all, I mean you wouldn't even be able to hear me today through whatever listening device you're using unless your brain was sending a signal to your ear and your ear was sending a signal to your brain. You couldn't see me. You couldn't even have your heartbeat if your heart was disconnected neurologically. So it only begs the question of why would someone not get their master system checked when they're getting all the subsystems checked? And the only answer I can think of, and maybe you guys could tell me, use the chat. Like, why would someone not do this? It must be because you didn't know it. You know, it's kind of like this analogy, and I use this a lot because, you know, this will probably make sense to you guys. If I don't invest my money because I didn't know, and I complain that I don't have good wealth in my retirement years, well, then it's technically my fault. I didn't investigate and look. Now, some of you will be like, whoa, Dr. Ernst, how can you say it's your fault when you didn't know? Like, the ignorance of you not knowing isn't your fault. Like, no one told you, so it's their fault. Well, no, it's my life. It's my responsibility. Therefore, it's my fault if I don't figure this out. Now, listen, you know, there's a lot of things that I haven't even figured out yet, just like I imagine there's a lot of things you haven't. But what I have figured out is if you want to heal, you need your spine and your nerve system working for you and not against you. So again, your spine is your structural foundation. It protects the spinal cord and the brainstem because those are the only link. Did you guys hear me? The only link that your organs have to receive the functional signal that they need. And why is it that when we just do a simple search on spine and chiropractic, do we see things like this? Chiropractic care improves your health, your sleep, your happiness, your well-being, your immune system. It can strengthen your life and vitality and energy and spirits and mind and body. It decreases your illnesses, your pain, your aches, you know, et cetera, et cetera. You guys can read this, right? Bad posture, depression, injuries, drug use, stress, tension. Like, how many of you would say, heck, sign me up for that? All of you should. But at the same token, many of you are like, oh, I have to go to a chiropractor? Well, let me just be transparent and honest with you. Chiropractic had a birthday this earlier week, and it hit like, I don't know, 180 something years old. Let's find out, because it was 1898 when chiropractic was thought of. Technically 1895 and 6, but 1898 it became like legitimate. There was a school founded and everything. Today it's 2022. It's 124 years ago that this profession of chiropractic started. Now, before you start saying like, yeah, so they haven't been around for very long. Medicine, if you guys heard our show, I think it was last week, has only been around for about 50 years earlier, meaning that there was a foundation in medicine called the American Medical Association that said, we're going to call this thing called medical degree that. Okay, so they started in like, I don't know, 1850 something. Chiropractic started in 1890 something. So they're real close when you think about it. So medicine's been around 175 years formally in the US. Chiropractic's been around 124 or 5 years formally. And you got to think like that's a long time for a profession to survive. So there have been a lot of other healing professions that didn't survive. Let me give you a few. Have you guys heard of the magnetic healers? These were people that came around and said, let's put magnets on your body to pull the toxins out of you through your skin. They'd use strong magnets and you would be well. Well, see, the problem was the whole technique was disproven over and over again. So those magnetic healers just poof, they disappeared. And you may know of the thousands of, quote, snake oil salesmen, right? Take this potion, which will actually cure you of all of your ails and your aches and your pains, and it's only $19 a bottle. Okay, well, a lot of that stuff has disappeared, although it's just now today something else. So the professions of healing that survived were the ones that gave clinical results. Now, there was this war between medicine, MD, and chiropractic, DC, and doctor of osteopathy, DO, because those were the three big doctorates in the United States. The osteopath said, if your spine and your bones move, then you have a well-oiled system and you get health from the bone movement. The chiropractors would say, well, that's secondary. It's the nerves that are in the bones that are the more important. So notice the shift. And the medical doctors are like, y'all are wrong. It's bacteria and viruses, and we're going to come up with drugs to kill all of that, and that will make people well. So see the trichotomy technically. So these three healing systems survived even to today. There are DOs, doctors of osteopathy, but there's not that many of them in reference to the MDs. And then there's DCs, the doctors of chiropractic, and there's more DCs than DOs, but there's less DCs than MDs. So you can kind of see it. It was like boom, boom, boom. Now, why am I continuing to talk about this? Because technically the DOs and the DCs are right in regards to where your health comes from and the approach that they take, which is different than popping pills for issues, is just pay attention to your spine. Now, the neat thing about an osteopath is they'll say, yeah, your spine needs to be manipulated. They don't use the word adjustment because to them it's like, let's just, turn and twist and, oh, good job. And turn and twist and there's a global movements. And that's good. You should do that. But a chiropractor would say, no, it's segmentally an issue. Like it's between L1 and L2 specific. And we're going to go in and do a manipulation or an adjustment of just the one region, not the whole thing. So like an osteopath would kind of like bend and twist your entire body through rotations and movements and have an osteopathic manipulation. And a chiropractor would say, no, lay down, and they'll be very targeted and specific, T6 on the right, and they do an adjustment. Regardless of the approach, the whole point is get that channel open, get the spine in alignment, and take the pressure off the discs, so you feel better, but more importantly, take the pressure off the nerve. Now, what's unique is since its foundation, we have a lot of technology today that we didn't have back then, like this, okay? So again, oh my gosh, you have to get on our live stream broadcast if you really want to learn and grow, because I'm holding up in front of you an MRI, which is a magnetic resonance image. This is about, as good as it gets for today to be able to actually see the brain at the top. It's been kind of chopped off. The spinal cord, see that gray tube kind of moving through here. The spinal fluids, the white stuff, the water, and then the bones over there and the discs in between, and see how they kind of are in a C shape. So what does a healthy, normal master nervous system look like on an MRI? That. So let's point a couple things out to all of you who are brave enough to get on the live stream. Like, please, for the love of God, take a moment, whip out your phone, go to your Facebook app, go hit search and type in the phrase Ask Dr. Ernst. That's AskDrErnst. You should see a green and white logo and it says we're live. Click on that. Okay, number 2, if you're on YouTube, same thing. Open the app, go to hit search, type in the same phrase, AskDrErnst. You should see that we're live. Very same thing. Green and teal white logo says Ask Dr. Ernst. Click on the video, guys. It's okay. You can do this. Now, this is an MRI, and it's of a normal, healthy neck. See how at the bottom it even says healthy. So what are we looking at here? Well, we're looking at the brain, which is up here where my hand is. We're looking at this white sort of fluid buffer, and notice it's in front and behind that gray tube in the middle, which is your spinal cord. That is your major wire connector to your health. Then over here, you see these kind of gray little squares. Those are the spinal bones. And if you look really close, you can see these gray kind of squishy things in between each of the spinal bones. Those are your discs. Now, how do we know this is normal? Well, there's a good curve. You can see it's kind of in a C shape. We can see that there's space in front and behind the spinal cord. And we can see that there's lots of fluid above and below. And we can actually see the spinal cord go through. So no obstruction, No blockage, no issues. So I'm going to hold up another one that I've drawn all over and ask you guys, just for visual sakes, this is a problem. This person is very sick. And they didn't get the MRI because they're sick. They got the MRI because we said, we need to see what's going on with your spinal cord. Your brainstem looks like it's having a problem, and you have major health issues. Now, just for visual reference, see the curved shape to the spine. See the lack of curve and how straight this thing is. I've even put yellow lines on the backs of the vertebrae so you can see them, and they are not curved. Number 2, the green line, if you can see that, is where those spinal bones should be. So see how there's a curved green line? I know it's real light. I should have made it much darker. There it is. See the green line there and there and there. Now, those yellow lines are the spinal bones. They should be where the green lines are. So we go, holy cow. Now I'm going to zoom in on the camera right there. The arrow is pointing to an area where the disc is damaged. It's actually squirting out. And look at that spinal cord. Okay, there's not a lot of white. There's not a lot of fluid. It's swollen and inflamed. And right there where the arrow is, that is a spinal cord compression visible on the x-ray. Now you might be like, well, what does this mean? Like, is this person in pain? They had no pain in their neck. What? How is that even humanly possible? Because your spinal cord doesn't feel pain. It controls the body. So the area in the neck where this issue is controls things like the nose and the palate, the maxillary glands, the salivary glands, and the thyroid. Do you guys see where I'm going with this? This is a patient who has a severe neurological issue with their thyroid, and they have hypothyroid disease, not because they are genetically flawed, but because their spine is damaged and the cord is damaged, and no one has thought to even look here, because this is the different view of functional, structural, holistic health and medicine. Now, I'm going to use this as an analogy. My thyroid is messed up and I'm taking thyroid medications for 25 years, but my labs look good and my doctor's happy and healthy, but I still feel like I'm falling apart. My hair is thinning, I'm gaining weight, I have no energy, and my doctor says, we don't understand. Your labs look good because you're taking 75 units of levothyroxine, Synthroid, Armourthroid, Tyrosent, whatever you want to call it, the drugs for thyroid. Then you have an epiphany and you start recognizing, hey, there's more to your health than just drugs. And you meet someone like me and then we go, there it is. Look at the arrow we pointed to it. That is causing your thyroid issues. And you scratch your head going, but how is that possible? Well, when the disc bulges and it goes into the nerve space, that nerve, which I'm going to draw with a highlighter, that is sitting right there, is now compressed. Can you guys see that? There it is. See the yellow highlighted nerve? It's compressed because the disc is pushing on it. Dr. Ernst, that must hurt like crazy. Why don't they have neck pain? Because if it's a slow fade over years, you never notice it. You guys have heard the analogy, right? Throw a frog in a pot of boiling water, it'll jump right out. But put it in a pot of cool, tepid water and slowly raise the temperature over the next several hours or days, and you can boil it alive without it ever knowing. It's called slow poisoning. It's the slow fade. So how did this neck get like this? Well, years and years of using computers and technology and sleeping with the wrong pillow and being on the cell phone has micro trauma damaged the spine, and the disc went, I can't take it any longer, and it herniated, and then it pushed on the spinal cord, and now there's less signal. You guys see what I mean by this? It's loss of function. So what does that mean? Well, it means that the charts which show how your spine connects to your organs aren't lying. And again, it shows like you guys check all your other systems, but do you check your master system? Most people sadly don't check it until they're like, my neck is on fire and my hands are numb and tingly. And they go to their primary doctor and they're like, well, we can give you muscle relaxers and pain pills. No, doc, like on fire, like my arm is aching. Okay, I can send you to a specialist. Let's go to the neurologist. This sounds like a nerve issue. The neurologist runs an MRI because that's what they do often. And they're like, holy cow, look at this as an analogy. Massive disc bulges. The spinal cord is physically being pinched twice. Now let's make sure you guys understand the importance of this. The spinal cord isn't just some happy structure that lives in your neck that just sits there and you have no repercussions of irritating it. Spinal cord injuries are extremely severe. Depending upon the level, you can lose the ability to breathe. You can lose the ability for your heart to beat. You can lose the ability to move your arms. I'm a quadriplegic, paraplegic, allegic. I'm paralyzed. Okay? Your spine is more than just the bones in your neck and back. It's your system for connective health. Just ask someone who's damaged their spinal cord. They'll give anything they can to get their spinal cord to regenerate, but it's very, very difficult. And in fact, most of the time, it doesn't. Think back, 30, 40 years ago when Christopher Reeves, who used to be Superman, was horseback riding, tried to do a jump. His horse hit the wood of the jump. He falls off, lands on his neck, breaks the first bone in his neck and bruises his spinal cord. And you guys know the story. Paralyzed from the neck down, no longer Superman. Now he's wheelchair man. And I'm saying this out of respect. He had a lot of money and he was able to stay alive when he should have died. If you sever your spinal cord, you can't do what you can't do. You can't make yourself breathe even if you wanted to. So remember the chair and like Darth Vader, right? He had to have his suit to keep him alive. Just like Christopher Reeves had to have that chair with the blood pumping, cardiac assisting. He was scoped. He had to have a catheter for his urine to be produced, and it was collected in a bag. They had to massage his colon to get his stool out and give him enemas. They had to give him insulin because his pancreas stopped producing insulin. He became a diabetic. He had to have a pacemaker to make his heart beat. Thank God we have the tech, but just use the analogy. You damage your spinal cord, you can't function. Now that's if it's severed. The problem is when we see stuff like this, where it's not severed, but it's compressed. It's pinched. And this person had tremendous pain in their neck. And they went to their MD, and the MD said, we need to send you to a specialist. The neurologist ordered the MRI, and they went, oh man, this is bad. Now, who do they go to next? Well, they go to the orthopod or the orthopedic who says, you know what, we need to do surgery. There is major damage to your spinal cord. You could lose function in life. See how the spinal fluid above, which is normal, is white? All of a sudden, you don't see that spinal fluid here. That's a problem, guys. You're not flushing the toxins. The spinal cord can literally die from necrosis and decay. So it's an emergency surgery recommendation. They go to the orthopedic surgeon, and the surgeon says, you've got 3 discs that have bulged. 2 of them are really bad. We're going to have to do an anterior approach. We're going to come through the front of your neck. We're going to go in and clean all this up. We're going to go put some plates and screws and rods, and we're going to fix the flow, and you'll be all good. Only one problem. Patient doesn't have insurance. It's very common today, sadly. And they said, well, doc, I hear you and I understand what this is going to do for me. And that if I don't do this, I could be paralyzed. I could be XYZ. Here's the thing, though. I don't have insurance. How much is this going to cost? And you know where this story's going, right? Well, the spinal surgeon was like, well, each disc is about $125,000. You've got 2 of them. Pre and post surgery, anesthesia, cleanup, physical therapy, rehabilitation, post-care, you're looking at $250,000. And, if you don't have insurance, we can help. There's ways to finance this. We might be able to bring it down to about $150,000. So it's like a Ferrari, you can finance it over the next 5 years at $2,000 a month. Or it's like a moderately small-sized house these days. So you can get a 30-year fixed mortgage on it. We have financing options. You need to go figure that out because regardless, this must be done. Now, understand the predicament, okay? This person was like, man, I can't afford that. And the surgeon says, no, you have no option. I don't think you understand me. Go figure it out. And the patient says, I'm going to go get a second opinion. And, guess what? You go to another orthopedic and they say the same thing over and over and over again. Eventually, you're going to say, God, I'm going to have to do this. Now, some of you will take out hundreds of thousands of dollars of loans to buy a house. And for good reason, you need a place to live. But if your body is falling out, decaying, and becoming decrepit because of an injury, it's funny how most of us don't take out $150,000 in loans to pay off our medical care. Some of you do this, though, because you need to. So what was unique is, in the process of the second opinioning, this person stumbled across a website that I host that had information about natural disc regeneration. They scheduled a consult call with me like any of you can do. Go to AskDrErnst.com, click request a free consultation. He calls me up and says, hey, I've had an MRI. I have 2 discs that are bulged. I'm being told I need surgery. Is there another option? And this is what comes out of my mouth. I have no clue until I see your MRI. I can only tell you we've worked with plenty of people that have disc bulges and spinal cord compressions and things like that, and we've gotten really good results. You would need to have further examination. And they came in, we did some tests and some exams. We checked the ligaments for integrity and stability. There was no signs of any sort of contraindications for what we do. And we started to work on them with a structural specific chiropractic approach where we use instruments and tables and technology to vibrate the spine and get it to release. And what's unique is we were focusing on just these 2 regions because that's what the MRI shows. There's a disc bulge between C5 and C6, C6 and C7, and C4 and C5. So we went only at those regions. Not using osteopathic therapy or physical therapies because it's not what we are or do. We used structurally specific chiropractic techniques with pre and post spinal neurological rehabilitation. And guess what happened? Their hands started to stop burning and their energy started to come back and their body started to repair itself symptomatically. Now, have the discs somehow innately become non-bulged? No, but we're showing signs of reduction of pressure on the spinal cord and spinal nerves because symptoms started to clear. And after a course of about 5 months of therapy, which might sound like a lot, but again, it was going to be 1 surgery for several hours in a day and then 2 to 3 months of post-surgical rehab and a lifetime of dealing with fake parts and pieces being in the body. We were able to get a reduction to where the spinal cord had a good flow of fluids and the pain cleared away, and it only cost about $7,000. So you had $150,000 to do a surgical procedure at a discount paid off over the next, 10, 15 years. Or we had several $1,000s over several months paid off on a slower, easier payment rate. And we got resolution of the condition that they originally came in for, plus regeneration and rebuild. And guys, I do this for a living. So this isn't foreign to me, but it might be foreign to you with the fact that can early damage be reversed? Yes. Can this level, and again, go to our Facebook feed, look at the things I'm holding up. Can severe degenerative arthrosis, stenosis, and spinal decay be regenerated? No, because it was caught very late. Now we can slow this down and stop it from getting worse, but to get this disc to go back to that disc would be unrealistic. But to get this disc, the damaged degenerative disc with no arthrosis or stenosis, to go back to this, sure. To get a disc bulge to go back to this, absolutely. To get a herniated disc to no longer be herniated, more complicated, certainly can be done, but takes longer and is more involved. That was this example of what I showed you here. This is a multi-segmental herniated disc. And some of you have this, right? Oh, I've got this bad disc in my neck, Dr. Ernst. Well, what are you doing about it? Well, I muscle rub on it, and I get 2 massages a week, and I go to my yoga class. Good for you, but that ain't going to fix it. You need structurally specific disc repair techniques. Well, I haven't done that because I don't know. I didn't even know it existed. Well, now you do. And the most important thing is what do you do with your actions on that? So again, if you're somebody who is struggling with a disc issue, an energy issue, an organ issue, if you have a thyroid problem or you're running low on your major energy, why don't you take a moment and get some free advice? Download the ebook that I offer on how to repair yourself. You can do that by texting 704-906-2094. This is a live show, and it's a little tough for us to just have you send us an email direct. I mean, you could do it if you want. Go to my website. But just take an action. Pick up your phone and text your name and your email. My team will send you everything for free. Look, are there strings attached? No. We just hope that you do something, you take an action. To help you to a further level, if you're willing, join me for my webinar. I host one every month. We have one coming up on October 8th. It's like 2 weeks away from today. It's on energy and hormone balancing and somewhat about your thyroid. Why did we pick the thyroid? Well, it's the number 1 most highly prescribed drug in the U.S. today. That means a lot of you are taking it. Number 2, it's something medicine says there's no cure for. So I'd like to show you they're wrong and your body can do it the right way. Number 3, after 15 years of working with patients with thyroid problems, I've seen a trend. They're all super frustrated that they take their medications and their numbers look great, but they still feel like they're falling apart. I'm tired and I'm weak and my hair is thinning and the doctor said it's because my thyroid isn't working, but now my numbers look good and I should look good, but I don't. I'm gaining weight. I'm cold all the time. My hair's falling out and I feel like I'm 80, but I'm only 46 years old. If that's you, now pick up the phone, 704-906-2094. Just text your name and your email or call it, and my call center will give you all the free information we're giving away, ebooks and recipe packs and guides, and you get the webinar for free. Last week, there's over 300 people on our webinar. 300 people figured out how to lower their blood sugars in less than 90 days. I hope I have 500 people on this webinar, and we teach you how to get your energy, your life, your vitality, and your essence back, because you can when you become your own doctor. And recognize it's your master system that heals you. It is your brain and spinal cord. If you don't have fluid flowing freely, then you're congested. And imagine a toilet analogy. Hey, look, if that downstream pipe is clogged, and you use the bathroom and you flush and nothing goes down, uh-oh. And not only does it stink over time, and you know what I'm talking about, right? Many of you who have had children and they put 16 pounds of toilet paper down the toilet and then their stuff doesn't go down either and it sits overnight. Woo! So imagine the fact of this toilet flushing fluids to wash your spinal cord is blocked. And you have something like this, which is a severe compression to the spinal system because of a disc bulge. I circled it in red. Can you guys see them? Look at those bulges right there and right there. The arrow points to the worst one. Look at the spinal cord. It's pinched right there and right there. So we can use imaging technology to find it, and we can say, hey, listen, that thyroid you've been struggling with, it's because your spine is damaged. And your nerve system is irritated and it's not functioning at 100%. We have a technique that can take this and put it back to this, and then your body will naturally heal because your master system will take over and say, flow, clean, flush. It's just like you got to get the plunger and go, you got to clean those pipes. And then when you flush, what happens? It works. And you go, praise God, hallelujah, that stench is gone because the cause was resolved. Guys, it's that simple. It's really that easy. My question to you would be, what does your spine look like? Well, Dr. Ernst, it must be atrocious because I have neck pain and my hands are tingling. Now, you need to do something about that now. Like that would be like now. Take an action step. Go to our website, AskDrErnst.com. We're offering free consultations now. Like, go sign up for a consultation so I can maybe guide you and say, look, man, people that get regular chiropractic care, which doesn't sound like you've had, or you have, but it doesn't seem like it's working, they get better faster. They heal. They sleep. They're happy. They have better well-being. Their immune system works. Their organs work. Listen, I've seen it over and over again. The reason I actually host this radio show is because I get so frustrated that people go, man, I never heard this before. Well, now you have. If you're listening to my voice, there's no excuse anymore. You have been educated now on something that no one else knows about. That actually works, and there's proof clinically for this in research and even in clinical care that says if you get your discs reset and the pressure off your nerves, your body will be happy and healthy and whole and vibrant and alive. And guys, there's even articles proving it. Your spine is in good hands when you work on it yourself. And if 80% of Americans have back pain, then you should say, gosh, it sounds like 80% of people are sick today. And I'm going to say it's probably accurate. Now, here's what's unique. A lot of people say, like, what are some things I can do to relax my nervous system? I've seen people say, like, well, I went to do this yoga meditation. It was on releasing my vagal nerve, and I did breath work, and that's all fine and dandy. But if the bone is squeezing, like, there's no amount of yoga and breath work that's going to release that. So one of the greatest ways right now you can reduce the stress on your spine is to try to get the weight off of it, the stress of gravity that's compressing it. So a simple way you can soothe your nervous system, it's going to sound strange, is by adding weight to it. Weight provides the proprioceptive input that is needed to kind of pump the spinal system. And we get proprioception from doing something like carrying a heavy backpack or chewing gum, right? Your mouth is moving, so your brain's aware of it. The goal isn't just to add weight to your body, but it's to add weight with movement. Just like rather than adding empty calories in the form of junk food, you want to make sure that you're properly fueling your body with nutrition. We don't want to just say, go put a 55-pound jacket on and then your nerve system is now well. We want to talk to you about this nature of training with weights your spine. Instead of focusing on the strength of your biceps, let's focus on the strength of your spinal muscles. There was a study that took Olympic weightlifters and showed that if they got an adjustment, meaning a chiropractor went and kind of adjusted their spine to get it moving better, that they were able to lift more after the work that was done, so much so that it actually became a popular technique for the Olympic weightlifters to get chiropractic care. And there's a group of chiropractors called Max Living Chiropractors that actually formed an Olympic committee to allow the USA weightlifters to get chiropractic care so that they would win more medals. And a sport that had almost very low golds all of a sudden started getting golds like crazy. Another thing that's unique about spinal weighting is that if you put the weights on the right spots, it helps to make the spine move. So a lot of you have a problem where your head is forward over your shoulders, kind of this neck forward position or anterior text neck as they call it. And what they've discovered is if you just put on a hat and then you wrap about a 2-pound ankle weight around the top of the hat so the brim holds it up, that weight will push your head back and induce a curve in your neck so that you take the pressure off the spinal discs, and they call this anterior body weighting. You may have even heard of people say like, oh man, when I sleep under a weighted blanket, it just calms me down. I feel less stressed and I can sleep better. Yeah, it's because it's pushing on your spine and it causes a recoil effect to put more curves in your neck and your back. There's even evidence that weighted blankets can give a positive effect to people with ADD and ADHD by calming them down. And it's not because it's forcibly holding them down so they can't squirm and squiggle. It's because your nervous system loves to be weighted. And we like to come out of gravity quite often. So you may have heard of this concept of inversion tables, where people will strap their ankles in and this table goes whoop upside down and gravity pulls the spine apart. Let's see if you can figure out why that would be something worth doing. We're looking here at the MRI of that person that had horrific spinal disc bulges. And you can even see on the MRI that the disc is thinner at that level than up above where it's healthy and normal. So if we went like this and hung them upside down, gravity would pull those joints apart and separate the compressed disc and take the pressure off the nerve and allow for healing to take place. So again, if you've got a herniated disc or a disc bulge, the research says, hey man, hang upside down and gravity will pull them apart. And why is that important? We open the nerve channel and your body starts to heal by itself. So could you do a little investments and start doing some weighted and decompressive therapies on your own? Yes. How much is an inversion table? I don't know, $300? Oh, but Dr. Ernst, that's a lot of money. Yeah, not in comparison to the amount of surgery money it takes to repair this or the amount of loss of joy and happiness because you've got severe arthritis and you've got numbness and tingling and neuropathies and can't even move. And then you need a joint replaced. And then you need this and that. Guys, the amount of money people spend to feel good today is insane. So you need to weight your spine down. You need to physically move it. You need to turn it upside down and let gravity pull you apart. And I know this is going to sound strange, but a lot of people think that if you ice a joint that hurts, it'll feel better because you numbed it up. And many of us have experienced the effects of, icing something. But all ice does is it gets rid of inflammation. This is going to sound weird, but if your spine is bothering you, you should actually heat it up. There's evidence that even taking something like a hot bath relaxes people because it stimulates the parasympathetic nerve system, which is something that can calm things down. So soaking in an Epsom bath can reduce inflammation and reduce your blood sugars and reduce your stress and anxiety, but ice can't do that. Evidence suggests that staying in a sauna can even increase your endorphins, which is a natural version of pain pills. So you can cater the needs you have to become more specific to heat therapy. Imagine this, laying on an infrared heating pad to soothe the aches and pains is a temporary yet awesome way to get rid of pain in your neck, your mid-back, or your lower back. There was a 2018 study that found that laying on an infrared heating pad for 15 minutes reduced anxiety and distress in women that were undergoing a procedure medically known as a cystoscope. What does that mean? Well, they were having a camera jammed up their urethra to have a procedure done to look at their bladder to find out why they weren't urinating. And it was discovered that if you put a heating pad under their back, the cystoscope was less painful. How can that be? Well, electric heating pads that are infrared, not electric like standard old school wire-based ones, but that heat up using an infrared technology, they send a heat signal into the spine at the sacral segment, which is where parasympathetics are found, and it relaxes things. So again, let's try to take a different approach towards, I put this ice on my back and it still hurts. Maybe it's not an inflamed back because ice works for inflammation. Why don't you try heating up your back? Use an infrared heating pad. Get in a hot tub. Use a Epsom salt hot bath. Well, Dr. Ernst, it worked. What does that mean? Well, it means that you need to get your spine checked and figure out, is there inflammation, irritation? Because we don't want you taking, Epsom salt baths 24 hours a day to feel good. Find out what's wrong and fix it, and your body will thank you. This is going to sound strange, but you know what? We're just going to do it anyway. The more fat you eat, the better your nerve system is. Seriously, your brain and your nerve system love fat for food. Now, you've probably been told, like most of us, oh, your brain needs glucose. Guys, that's a lie that the sugar industry, the food industry wants you to believe so that you eat a lot of sugar. The nerve cells themselves are wrapped in fat. It's called myelin. They're not wrapped in sugar. They're wrapped in fat. And evidence shows that if you eat fat, you can actually protect your brain from demyelinating, which is called MS, and also cognitive decline and dementia. So I want you to think of eating healthy fats as a way to protect your brain. In fact, there are studies showing that median chain triglyceride oil, which is a liquid at room temperature, MCT oil, can help with cognitive decline and dementia and Alzheimer's to actually reverse it because it makes the brain grow back. So if you eat a low-fat, high-carb American diet, your brain's going to fall apart. Then your nerve system falls apart. Then your spine falls apart. Things become decayed and necrotic and, arthritic. The nerves get pinched, and then your health slips, and you say, well, I'm getting older. No! It's because there's probably nerve and or disc issues that no one addressed with you the right way. Can you turn this around? Absolutely. I've seen people that were wheelchair bound start to walk again. I've seen people with chronic health conditions, cancer, heart disease, diabetes, thyroid issues, turn their entire life around in just a matter of months. And it's because instead of checking our teeth and our eyes and our blood and our heart and our breasts and our lungs and our colons and our livers and our kidneys and our urine medically, we say, how long has it been since you've had your spine checked? How long has it been since you've had your master neurological system, which controls every organ in you, checked for health and function? Some of you listening today have never had it done ever. And if that's something that interests you, head on over to our website, AskDrErnst.com. We're located in the Carolina area. We have a clinic in North Charlotte, and now, listen to this, in South Charlotte, opening in October, to where we can say, let's get you checked, and let's figure out if you have a neurological issue for your health. How much does it cost to do this consultation phone call? $0. You just got to book the time. How do I do that? AskDrErnst.com. Top right-hand corner says request a free consultation. Clickety-doo-dah-day and just pick the time and fill out the form. It's free. What if you're someone who struggles with an actual diagnostic condition? You have a thyroid that you're medicating. You have blood sugars you're medicating. You're medicating your cholesterol, your pressure, your this, your that, and you want out. Join me in 2 weeks on the 8th of October as I show you how to master turn your hormones into healthy healing ones, and we show you how to fix your master system, your brain and spinal cord. Guys, that event is free for any listener who is listening to my voice, as long as it's before the 8th of October, 704-906-2094. That's 704-906-2094. Today's topic was about your master healing system and how to know if it's correct or not. It requires imaging, x-rays, MRIs. Oh my gosh, this is going to cost a fortune. Look, there's ways to save a ton of money on this. Do I have to get an MRI? No. There's even technology today where we can take digital thermograms and digital scans using very inexpensive imaging studies and actually find the same thing as if you had an MRI. It's very inexpensive. Does your insurance cover it? They might. Can you use a flex card to get a special thermogram x-ray? Yes, you can. How do we do this? AskDrErnst.com. Let's chat first and find out if you've already had some studies done that we can use, or if we need to do some things for you at a discount because you're a faithful radio listener. You can also join us again on the 8th of October. It's a webinar series I'm hosting on how to have more energy, balance your thyroid, and get your life back. And if you call and text right now, you're going to get a free ebook that will show you how to do all of the above. Losing 20 pounds in 4 or 5 weeks is simple when you find the cause. Getting your hormones balanced and your energy back is easy. Find the cause. The ebook will show you the common causes of all of the following and include free information, including some diets you can do right now. But the question is, do you want that? 704-906-2094. Again, 704-906-2094. How about once more? 704-906-2094. It's the Ask Dr. Ernst Show. Hey, next week we go into the second major healing system, which is your detox pathways. If your detox pathways aren't working, you aren't healing. And so we clear our spine and we clear out our toxins, and you're that much closer to healing yourself. I'll reveal all of that to you and more next Saturday. But right now, 704-906-2094 for the free access to the webinar, and AskDrErnst.com for more information. Thanks so much.